From clowning around to meeting poetic justice. This is what happens when cocky rats get served with instant karma. Let's kick off with Elmore delivering a brutal dose of justice to Ryan Jett. He casually offers to touch gloves with a friendly vibe, but Ryan's whole demeanor screamed, "Arrogant bastard." He decided to try his dirty move and poked his opponent in the eye. When Joe lost his sight and stopped putting up a defense, Ryan sneakily began landing punches on him. He wanted to finish him right there, but that's not how the fight world works, boy. You show disrespect for the law, you get punished. And this is exactly what happened. Elmore made the rat surrender, giving him a little disciplinary action. And something similar happened in this fight between Marku and Tommy. Tommy kept insulting Marku in every way possible inside the ring, but he mocked Marku's short height. That's when the rat got himself trapped. Marku sent the scoundrel to his knees with a series of powerful punches, brutally punishing him for his dirty behavior. And up next, here's Usyk going up against Huck. You can see Usyk was in the mood and Huck was receiving the beating of a lifetime. But since Huck had realized that he couldn't stop Usyk, he decided to go below the belt. But unfortunately, he was only able to tickle his balls. I gotta tell you, rats like Huck only deserve one thing: a ferocious left hook, and that's exactly what he got. Usyk beat the crap out of Huck and sent him back to the sewer. Now watch Sabri perform these circus moves only to find himself served with the appropriate response. This awful slugger was so desperate to drag Maxwell into a brawl that he just wouldn't stop teasing him. But Maxwell couldn't tolerate the disrespect anymore. So he nailed the scoundrel with a strong right punch and knocked him into the shadows. If you're a boxing fan, you love this. Just like you love this next fight between Bo and Tillery. Man, I can tell you there's one thing Bo doesn't like. It's a flying kiss. Tillery acted like a sneaky rat and started kicking Bo in a boxing match after the bell. Seriously, if you're Bo's opponent, please don't try to be romantic with him because he responds to flying kisses with flying punches. Yep, Tillery got the beating of a lifetime. He'll probably think twice before kissing anybody now or kicking somebody in the groin. Really, that beating was downright crushing. Next, we got Cotto versus Mayorga, and a display body can't handle. Moving on to King Arthur versus Taylor. Taylor was caught playing dirty at many instances during the fight. He kept landing low blows round in and round out. What a slugger! With only a few ticks left in the final round, Arthur nailed a straight blow that sent Taylor straight to the hospital, even leaving him with short-term memory loss. Lesson learned: never mess with someone's private parts without getting consent. Now, are you ready to witness another douche? Rodriguez played the ego-filled idiot during the weigh-offs and even after the bell rang. He kept signaling that he felt nothing, but his head was getting whacked. Clearly, his attempt at dirty mind games on Garcia completely backfired, as Garcia literally ripped this rat's ego into pieces. Someone needs to sit this man down and remind him that showing off is a fool's idea of glory. And this is exactly how it ends. Up next, I got the one-punch man, Tony Bellew, for you. Well, I guess he was right. That's exactly what happened. But sadly, he was on the receiving end. His opponent, Usyk, delivered a mighty blow, and it switched off Bellew's lights from within. It was game over. But seriously, Usyk is evidence that Ukraine lacks skilled barbers. On to Pagara versus Patho Pothong now. Quite a spirited, animated character indeed. But as the saying goes, there's a right time and place for everything, and perhaps a ring isn't the right place to act like a skunk. I'm sure you'd agree by now. A single punch to the stomach knocked the trickster right out of him. Sometimes taunting an opponent is only good for one thing: landing yourself back in the sewer. Up next, Canelo versus Kirkland. Kirkland chose to be cheeky with Alvarez right from the start of the fight, but it turned out he had met a real boxer for the first time. Man, that's one of the most gratifying knockouts I've ever seen. Wow. God, it's a breath of fresh air to see a real sportsman. No unnecessary theatrics or taunting after beating an opponent. That's the difference between a great fighter and a cocky rat. Now, for that one time during Mikhailovich versus Hanan. Hanan managed a cheap shot just before the bell, but that might have been the only clean punch he landed in the entire fight. Perfect payback. Andre made Hanan seem like he couldn't punch his way out of a wet paper bag. The only way to school a rat. That is what I call karma at its best. Now for the international poster boy for World Karma, Usman. After a cringeworthy yet swaggering entrance, Uzi got what was coming to him. A first-round knockout that now the highlight of the boy's career. Even though it was a nightmare for him, at least it went viral, but maybe not in the way that he wanted it to. Up next, here's why you shouldn't mess with a Russian without a machine gun. One thing about this man, Alexander, is that he can choose to end the fight whenever he wants. Unfortunately, poor Charlie made the mistake of letting his inner cocky rat taunt him, almost provoking him to unleash one of his deadliest blows. Well, he got what he wished for a few rounds later. A left-right-left combination by the Russian powerhouse sent Charlie's cockiness into deep sleep. Now moving on to Adrian, the problem Broner, who's one of the most arrogant and cocky fighters you'll ever see. Broner's vulgar gesture only fueled Maidana's fire. It was just pitiful. Now one thing was certain, Maidana would seek revenge. And he went on to completely thrash Broner. He was sent to the ground many times before Maidana was declared winner of the fight through unanimous decision. Now here's what you shouldn't do at the start of a fight. Watch Hiromoto get schooled by Hagawara for his arrogant behavior. It's not about your flashy signs when you're on the ground. That's a different game, bro. This cocky rat was in for a lesson. Well, there's his reality check. Man, I gotta say, Big Shot Camp made one of the most cringeworthy entries in the boxing arena. But that didn't stop him from swaggering. While Camp handled most of the entertaining, Ahmed stepped in to take care of the beating. In round 2, he finally got what he wished for, a devastating knockout that sent him to the canvas face first. Pure humiliation. But wait, there's some showboating still left in Camp's tank. Yep, some push-ups out of pure shame. What a freaking idiot. Now for Thomas Tate versus Roy Jones Jr. Honestly, Tate seemed to approach the fight with a lack of seriousness. You can see him dancing and showboating in his corner. Well, just one solid punch and Tate's trainer knew he couldn't handle any more. Now, Char here wanted to piss the champ off by being disrespectful and rude, but it had no effect on Klitschko. During the fight, Klitschko landed a left hand which opened a cut above Char's right eye. Seeing this, the ref had to stop the fight because that blood wasn't going to. But guess what? Char was still displaying disrespect. What a braggart this guy is. Bit like Paez here. In those shorts, it looked like Paez was headed for a circus performance. However, he opted to turn the ring itself into a circus. The guy did put on some amazing moves in the beginning, but he kept pulling off this trick during the fight where he'd act invincible, but only until Sanchez connected. And finally, a sensational end to Paez's performance came in the last minute of round 7 when Sanchez landed a brutal combo, putting the clown to sleep. Moving forward, when you talk about cocky rats, you just can't miss Tyson Fury. That must have been quite an embarrassing moment for him. Let's hope he doesn't lose sleep over it. But there's a question here for the boxing world. If he were to accidentally knock himself out, would he end up with both a win and a loss in the same fight? It's pretty darn remarkable that this guy defended his heavyweight champion title 3 times. In the interview after the fight, when asked about punching himself, Fury cheekily replied, "That was the best shot I've ever been hit with." LOL, bet. Now, for the most famous headbutter in boxing history. Unfortunately, that tactic didn't work out too well for him because it ended up being the reason Mike Tyson bit his ear off. Some might say Holyfield got what he deserved. After all, he's been pulling these stunts for years, with the refs overlooking and ignoring it almost every time. If you watch the full fight, it was a clean headbutt followed by a low blow. This horrifying incident led to Tyson's disqualification, and Holyfield was rushed to the hospital. Anyway, our boy Guerfi appears to be a massive fan of the WWE star Jake the Snake Roberts. With these moves might not look that silly in a WWE ring, in a boxing ring, it's a genuine embarrassment. What a rat move. Guerfi hit Jill with a DDT, and yet the guy came back to win by KO. One of the most sensational KOs I've ever seen. And here's a sad knockout after the fight. The most cowardly act in boxing. Unbelievable display of bad sportsmanship. Butler was arrested and charged with aggravated assault. Is bro crazy or what? Later, he was convicted and served 4 months at Rikers Island Detention Facility. Now watch Floyd Mayweather dodge Ortiz's hug as if he's in a dance-off. Despite Ortiz offering an apology with a hug, Mayweather's reaction was quick. a left hook followed by a straight right. How's that for a knockout and a plot twist? Man, Mayweather's quite fluent in the language of sucker punches. While the guy did headbutt him out of order, a true champ would win squarely, not with a sneaky punch. Hard to identify the real rat here. They both be playing both sides, so I don't really think what Mayweather did was wrong, to be honest. Now I present you the swindler, Thiago Silva. This guy showed his rat face outside the ring. Silva provided a wrong urine sample at UFC 125, and the fight decision was overturned. He received a 1-year ban from the UFC. However, upon his return at UFC 130, he provided a correct urine sample, only to test positive for illegal substances. Remarkably, this time he was only suspended for 6 months. 6 months less, perhaps as an acknowledgement of his honesty. If you ever think of how low one can go, now watch this showdown between Pascal and Bolante. Bolante was no match for Pascal. He was getting annihilated. But by now, you know exactly how rats operate. So as soon as Bolante got the opportunity, he unveiled his true, vile nature. Bolante punched Pascal in the back of the head twice within a couple of seconds. The ref had seemed to register the illegal shots, but Pascal believes in serving the justice himself. So Bolante got smashed and it was game over from the swift hands of Mayweather. Finally, the judges gave their decision and Mayweather was victorious. Honestly, Judah got exactly what one reaps for acting disrespectfully on a professional boxing stage. While I personally think Judah is a very talented and hard-working boxer, it's definitely his lack of discipline and inner rat instincts that just didn't let him become one of the greatest. And that's a wrap for this video. Which guy do you think deserved the beating he got the most? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, be a legend and hit that subscribe button to keep the content flowing. See you in the next one.